Today, Apple in the spotlight as it releases a slew of new products and services. But in the background, the fight over its App Store policies rages on. Plus, the government could approve the TikTok Oracle proposal as soon as today. But without an outright sale, how would this deal address the national security concerns at play? And finally, is the recession already over? Our own CNBC Fed survey tracks the pulse of economists, fund managers, and strategists, and we've got the latest data. I'm Mackenzie Sigalos, and this is CNBC After Hours. Wall Street finished the day in the green, with the Dow hanging on to positive territory by the skin of its teeth there. Same story for Apple. That stock rallied into the close to finish a fraction of a percent higher after the company held a major event announcing a host of new products and services, including updated versions of the Apple Watch, iPad Air, and the new 8th generation iPad. Now, on the services side, Apple announced Fitness Plus, which will connect watch users to trainers and a catalog of workout videos on the iPhone. Shares of Peloton even briefly dropped when the news broke. And then there's the biggest headline of the day. Apple revealed its long-rumored bundle of all of the services that it offers called Apple One. So Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, Apple Arcade, and iCloud storage, starting at around $15 a month. Shortly after Apple One was unveiled, Spotify, an Apple Music competitor, released a statement accusing its rival of committing unfair practices by favoring its own services. Spotify also called on authorities to act, quote, urgently. Now, Spotify has been outspoken in the past about Apple's App Store rules, and they're certainly not alone. Facebook, Microsoft, and Epic Games have called Apple out as well. In fact, this entire product launch was set against a contentious backdrop of developer disagreements and legal battles over the App Store. CNBC Digital breaks it down.
Apple's App Store policies are as controversial as ever. The tech behemoth revised its App Store guidelines ahead of the release of its new operating system, iOS 14, including a big hurdle for game streaming services like Microsoft xCloud and Google Stadia.
What Apple wants is Apple wants every game on Stadia to have its own listing on the App Store.
They will be allowed in the App Store, but to play a game on the service, users will have to download that specific game from the App Store itself. Apple is already under scrutiny for its alleged stronghold on the App Store, where it controls who can distribute software on its mobile devices, and where it collects a 30% fee of all user purchases, both in apps and for the apps themselves. The company is currently in the middle of a legal fight with Epic Games, the maker of the wildly popular multiplayer game Fortnite. Last month, Epic sued both Apple and Google after the tech heavyweights booted Fortnite from their app marketplaces. The companies kicked out the popular game because Epic released a new payment system that bypassed their mandatory 30% cut of user spending. In its suit, Epic claimed that Apple and Google's 30% policy was displaying anti-competitive and monopolistic behavior. Apple also sued Epic Games on September 8th, claiming that Epic breached its contract with the iPhone maker.
The Apple saying Epic's lawsuit is nothing more than a basic disagreement over money. Although Epic portrays itself as a modern corporate Robin Hood, in reality it is a multi-billion-dollar enterprise that simply wants to pay nothing for the tremendous value it derives from the App Store.
In the filing, Apple said that Epic has made over $600 million through the App Store and wants to avoid paying Apple for using its store to distribute the software. Apple will allow players to continue signing into the game on its devices, but the company has banned Fortnite maker Epic Games from its developer account for a full year. Epic says it already lost 60% of its 116 million daily active users on iOS. And back in June, Apple faced backlash for refusing to approve the subscription-based email app Hey, because the app didn't allow customers to sign up for a subscription through iOS. The CEO, David Hansen, called the practice abusive.
I think that they should allow application makers the choice to opt out of their payment system, because the payment system is incredibly expensive. It is 30% of revenues compared to credit card processing, which is generally 1.8 to 2.4%, which is what we normally pay.
The practice isn't entirely unique to Apple and Google, though. Sony and Microsoft both take a 30% cut of games sold on their platforms, but PlayStations and Xboxes aren't as ubiquitous as the iPhone. There's a lot more money at stake. Apple did eventually approve Hey in an effort to de-escalate the situation and provided the company time to comply with Apple's policies. The larger consequence of this battle is largely about the App Store model as a whole, and comes right as Apple is facing increased pressure from regulators around the globe. The European Union started an antitrust probe into both Apple Pay and the iOS App Store back in June, and big tech CEOs faced a grilling in the US House over perceived anti-competitive practices. The House Judiciary Committee, which held the grilling, is still expected to release its highly anticipated report on its findings into big tech and antitrust in September.
Okay, let's get to our sound check. Here's a roundup of the day's biggest action and what the top newsmakers and business leaders had to say on CNBC's airwaves.
What SPACs do, direct listings do the same thing, is we expand the aperture. We start to break up the oligopoly that's existed for a long time, and we democratize things. So everything, I think, will change. The terms of how these deals are done will change. The access to capital will change. The cost of that capital will also change. And all of that will be better for investors.
Nancy Pelosi believes that if she makes it tougher, it's harder for President Trump to get reelected. Her own members are upset because they are going to get sacrificed in this election. They are getting beat up back home. That's why they're willing to offer their own bill. And Nancy Pelosi is saying, it's okay if you lose as long as we're able to defeat the president. That is all wrong.
Well, you know I wouldn't stoop to the level of responding to silliness. That has no idea. I just got up a call with my colleagues. We are committed to staying here until we have an agreement.
We are, as a large company, doing our best to help. I mean, we believe that if you operate in an environment, in a community, your goal should be to make that community better. And our small business grant program, this Making It with Lowe's program, is just a very small way for us to try to contribute to the communities in which we operate in.
We're very familiar with ubiquitous distribution. Given our television business, we work with pretty much everywhere. And if you look at the streaming assets we have in place today, whether it's CBS All Access, Showtime OTT, or Pluto TV, the largest FAST service in the country, they are distributed very broadly. And I think that is important. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to content.
For over a month now, we've been following the TikTok sweepstakes as American companies competed for the viral short-form video app after President Trump threatened to ban TikTok for national security reasons unless it sold its U.S. operations. Well, we have a deal. Oracle, a tech firm that makes software for businesses, confirmed yesterday that it submitted a proposal to the federal government along with ByteDance, the Chinese company that owns TikTok, to be the, quote, trusted technology provider for the app's U.S. operations. Now, it's worth noting that Oracle chairman and founder Larry Ellison hosted a fundraiser for Trump back in February. Now, the partnership is undergoing a national security review, but official approval appears to be imminent.
CFIUS likes it, and I think the president's going to sign it. The question is, he's going to do it today or he's going to do it tomorrow?
But it's important to remember, this is not a sale. Oracle is not buying the algorithm that powers TikTok's recommendation page, which has been widely credited for the app's massive success. The specific terms of the deal haven't been released yet, but it looks like TikTok's global business will now be put in a new company headquartered in the U.S. ByteDance will reportedly be the majority shareholder in this new entity. So if Oracle isn't outright buying TikTok US, only has a minority stake in the new company, and doesn't own the source code to the algorithm, how are the national security threats eliminated? CNBC Digital asked two international cybersecurity experts to explain.
It's hard to know whether the security concerns are fully addressed here until we see the full details, and those haven't emerged yet. But we can say a few things at this point. First, the main concern that had been articulated was concern that the Chinese government could compel the company to turn over data on U.S. users. Probably Oracle's role as the trusted technology partner will help insulate against that. That ought to work. We'll find out. But that wasn't the only concern. There was also a stated concern in the executive order about Chinese-driven censorship on the platform.
I would say that this proposed trusted tech partnership does little to assuage the data privacy concerns, the concerns about the legal atmosphere in China, without a full technical sundering from ByteDance, from that access and that ecosystem that China has, in with the CCP in charge. Then you're not going to get any sort of alleviation from the original national security concerns that TikTok poses.
It appears, at least at this point, that the arrangement with Oracle doesn't touch the underlying algorithm that powers the For You recommendation engine on TikTok. In fact, it's clear that China was not going to allow that algorithm to pass out of Chinese hands.
This is being called TikTok's secret sauce right now. So if there's just a partnership right now, China has made moves to enshrine that algorithm on its export controls list. If that is enshrined in law and the CCP says, hey, we're not letting go of the source code, then that becomes a vector for propaganda, and a slick one at that, and for disinformation, in addition to continuing to render censorship and allowing it to sort of pervade American society. So if it won't let go of the source code, if there's no full technical sundering from ByteDance, then all of those concerns, especially the national security ones, access to data, et cetera, still exist.
Okay, time for today's numbers round. First up is 50. Just over 50% of economists think the current recession is already over, according to the latest data from our own CNBC Fed survey. Now, on average, those economists believe that the recession actually ended back in May, but the issue is still up for debate. 47% of respondents do not believe the recession has ended yet. However, the majority of economists do agree on one thing. 69% say the recovery is going faster than was originally forecast. Next, 1.3 million. Nikola founder and executive chairman Trevor Milton bought $1.3 million worth of stock in his electric vehicle company yesterday, after shares fell following allegations of fraud from short seller Hindenburg Research. Now, since Hindenburg has taken a short position in Nikola stock, they actually stand to benefit financially if the share prices fall. Nikola has denied any fraud, but the company is reportedly under examination from the SEC over the claims made in Hindenburg's report. And the Dow Jones reported today that the Justice Department has joined the SEC in probing these allegations. And finally, $2.4 billion. Billionaire hedge funder Steve Cohen reached an agreement to buy the New York Mets in a deal that reportedly values the team at around $2.4 billion. Cohen will own 95% of the team, and the current owners will retain a 5% stake. For the record, Cohen already tried to buy the Mets less than a year ago, but the deal fell through in January. That's it for After Hours, but before we go, here's one more thing to keep an eye on. The U.S. Gulf Coast is bracing for torrential rain and historic flooding during a storm surge from Hurricane Sally, a Category 1 storm that's expected to make landfall early tomorrow morning. Get the latest details on all the forecasts and the storm's path by going to CNBC.com and downloading the CNBC app. We'll be right here in our home office every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday with new editions of After Hours, so be sure to catch us then.